Hi, my name is Andrew, and this is my Opportunity City presentation. The city I'm doing is Greenfield, Massachusetts. Greenfield, Massachusetts is the county seat and sole city in Franklin County, Massachusetts. It falls right here up in the northern Pioneer Valley, near the border of Vermont. Here is a more zoomed in map. It falls along the I-91 corridor and at the nexus of the Connecticut River and Deerfield River. The population of Greenfield was 17,728 in 2023. The population is also majority white, with the 87% of the population being white non-Hispanic. The population has been stagnant over the last 20 years, but has been declining since its peak in the 1990s. The population is also much older, with the median age being about 44.1, and that is rising year over year, as about a year or two ago, the median age was about 43. So it's got an aging population. Uh, It also has a higher poverty rate than the state average. The median household income is about half of the state average, and the land values in the city are lower than the state average, with the average rent being about $1,100 and the average land value being about $250,000, which is much lower than the state average. So here are some of the current employment statistics. Most people are working in management occupations, office jobs, sales related jobs, and food prep jobs. And then by industry, you got healthcare is the big one. Retail trade and food services are also big. And then manufacturing and construction are also still up there. So for some legacy economic engines, we first start with some mills and manufacturing. Throughout its time since its creation, it has had many manufacturing jobs. It started with the Green River Works, which was founded by John Russell back in 1834 and was the country's first cutlery factory. But also throughout time, they've manufactured automobiles, machine tools, hand tools, some electronics. Tap and die was a big one in the last 100 years, and they've also had textile, lumber, and other manufacturing jobs in the city. So yeah, now with tap and die, for the last 100 years, this was the big one. Founded in 1912, the Greenfield Tap and Die Company, at its peak between 1917 and 1958, was the economic engine of Greenfield, and at its peak, employed about 4,000 people. Throughout the 50s and into the 80s and into the modern day, it has gone through a series of acquisitions, mergers, splits, and today it is Greenfield Industries and Greenfield Threading. And today they employ about 200 to 500 people throughout the region, which has been a big fall since the peak of 4,000 jobs back in the 50s. Another big legacy economic engine was the railroads. The Connecticut River Railroad was the first railroad to come through Greenfield. You can see the map here, but they've had many railroads throughout the years, and this is evident even till today, with the East Deerfield Yard being a major rail yard in the region, and they are just the nexus hub of many rail routes throughout the region. Yeah, and now going into some ways to help improve this city, as this is an opportunity in a post-industrial city. The first intervention I'm recommending is downtown improvements. Throughout the readings, it did really say that we should focus on the downtowns, and it also said that arts and culture should be a big part of that. And Greenfield has a major arts culture with multiple music festivals throughout the year. You have the Green River Festival, you have the Strange Creek Campout, and they also have a big art culture around bees, as there's some cultural history with beehives in the region. And so I just think street art, getting music into downtown, maybe getting some more outdoor, you know, like live music events in the local parks near downtown, and in the parking lots. There's a lot of parking lots near downtown, and just getting street art, mural art could really make liven up the downtown and get more people traveling the Greenfield, and really getting the downtown as this big economic engine there. Another big improvement with downtown could be more housing, making it mixed use, making the housing affordable to help those underserved populations, but also help liven it up. Having people live in downtowns really makes them more lively, gets more people on the street after hours, and could really help the retail and food service sectors that really make up a good chunk of the economy today. Again, also with the retail and food sectors, these tend to be lower jobs for people who are typically underserved. So getting more business for these places could really help those underserved populations who work there, and then making housing affordable could really help make any of these improvements socially equitable. The intervention two I'm recommending is just better regional connectivity. They have four major transportation providers in the region. They have Franklin Regional Transportation, they have Amtrak, they have Greyhound, and they have the Pioneer Valley Transportation. And so we'll start with the PVTA route that connects Amherst to Greenfield. This takes a little bit over an hour and is not very direct. So if you want to go from Greenfield to Amherst, which is a big employment hub in the region, and you don't have a car, it's going to take you an hour. But if you had a car, it would take you about 30 minutes. So this is just unequitable and making more of an express route, giving there to be more regional connectivity in the area. Could help those underserved populations, those transit-dependent riders, but could also just help more people from the university go to Greenfield, and it could really help liven up the downtown and just liven up the whole city. And then we also have the Valley Flyer train, which is provided by Amtrak. It runs between Greenfield and these major economic hubs, Springfield, Hartford, and even down in New Haven. And it only runs twice a day, once from Greenfield down and, in the afternoon back up. So if you're trying to use this as a commuter rail, if you're trying to, you live in Greenfield and you work in Hartford, you're going to be driving. And if you don't have a car, you can't work down there. And so just, getting more train, more, to come more could really help those transit dependent riders and those underserved populations, and could also just get more people into downtown, get more people visiting, and could really help bring up the city. And my final intervention would just be recreation. So there's a big point in the region about using what you have in the region, and Greenfield has a lot of good nature in the region. They're right by Berkshire East ski resort, and they're also the gateway to the Berkshires, the northern gateway to the Berkshires. And they also have the Connecticut River right there. And so really playing off of the recreation in the area could help them, trying to get more people off the interstate when they're coming back from skiing. Could help in the downtown. I know Northampton did a big thing with that, where they're trying to get people returning from skiing to come and eat in downtown. They could do similar things like that. Or they could also just play off of the fact that they have, a good park and river access. People like the canoe, people like the be on the river. And there isn't a lot of river access right now. So, they could do some public infrastructure projects, which could help the people working in the construction industries. They could get some good paying jobs with trail maintenance, just people maintaining them. And, these are jobs that don't require bachelors. So these are jobs that could be really good for the, economically underserved, and could also just bring more people to downtown. I mean, I did not know about the trails here. And, I used to like the mountain bike. So making information about that more available could get more people using the trails, coming to the city and visiting downtown, stopping there, eating and spending their money in the area. And I think this could be a big thing for Greenfield, to really piggyback off of, because they've been given a gift, which is really good recreation in the area. Yeah, so those are the recommendations I'm recommending, and thank you.